So with the full Wave 4 of the Fire Emblem Engage DLC now out, and all of the outrage coming in about just complaints about how it's been handled, complaints about why it is the way it is, I'd like to take a step back at the whole and say the Fire Emblem Engage DLC reminds me of the Hellfire expansion to Diablo 1. And that's not great. So, if anyone doesn't know, the Hellfire expansion of Diablo 1 was an expansion that was outsourced to Sierra, not made in house by Blizzard North. It introduced a lot of different items that made the base game incredibly easy, including oils that you could apply to your weapons, new shrines, couple new weapon types. The monk class, which was a very poorly designed class, and technically the barbarian, though it was included in the files, but wasn't included in the actual game. It was hidden away because it was scrapped just before release, and so you basically had to edit your files in order to enable play, and it was unfinished and glitchy. And then you also had the 4 level hive, I believe it was. Maybe it was more than 4 levels. It was like a side dungeon, a separate dungeon that you can go into for some extra loot and for some extra quests. That was totally disjointed from the main quest, although you could do it only as part of your main quest. It wasn't like a separate side thing you did instead. As I explain this, you might think, hey, that's kind of similar to Engage, where you have some nice features like the silver card, but that are sold to you, stripped out of the game and sold to you instead of being innately in there. And Diablo 1, that's the ability to do different difficulty levels in single player. There's a lot of stuff that kind of breaks the difficulty. All of the freebies, all of the extra emblems and whatnot. There are some fun tools there, the different emblems, the different unit classes and whatnot. And then you have a very poorly thought out side campaign that's playable only in the middle of the main campaign, and it's really unclear when you're supposed to do it because it unlocks kind of in the middle. In Diablo 1 Hellfire, the hive opens up around the time you hit the caves, and in Fire Emblem Engage, the Xenologs open up as soon as you hit Chapter 6, along with, I believe, the Divine Paralogs. I don't actually own the DLC, so I can't speak for it myself, but I've seen them be played, I've seen some people talk about it, I've heard a lot about this. Now, you may not even remember the Hellfire expansion for Diablo 1 because it was not good. The lead developer, Brevik, has gone on to state that he really did not like how Hellfire came out, and that he would have scrapped the whole thing if he could have, but they decided to ship the product anyway, even when he said don't ship it, and that's how we got it in the state we did. He really was against the, I believe it was a teddy bear quest that they threw in. Yeah. So, I have no idea how IS feels about the DLC, how the devs feel about that, but what we do know, if I remember right, is that it is still in-house. This was in-house created fully by IS, whereas Three Houses and Cindered Shadows was made by Koei Tecmo with collaboration with IS, which is very interesting because it's flipped with the Hellfire developer situation where in Hellfire, it was outsourced DLC, outsourced expansion. I guess not DLC. You couldn't download it. But the whole game of Three Houses and the DLC Cindered Shadows was outsourced. But that's viewed now retroactively as the good one, as the better way to handle DLC. So I just felt like making this comparison because I think the Hellfire expansion to Diablo 1 is terrible. And now that I'm looking at the DLC Wave 4 for what it is and everything that we have in it, I'm viewing the DLC expansion pass for Engage as a whole as pretty terrible. But what are your thoughts? Let me know in the comments down below what you thought about the DLC. Is it fun? Is it terrible? Are you still on the fence about it? Did this make you want to purchase it? Did this make you want to not purchase it? Thank you, and have a great rest of your day. This is Mithril Zenith signing out.